From what I gather, there is a good unity day to day. I hear all the time about how training is great and the relationship between players and manager is great. And then it just gets to a Saturday and they don't look like a competent football team. But Monday to Friday, everyone, all these kind of players and people around them say, it's great. We love Amorim. We love everything about it. I don't mind it. I don't mind his emotion, but I can understand that other people see that as a sign of weakness.
Right, we've got a brilliant guest to start off the podcast today, the Daily Mail's Manchester United correspondent. He is the man you go to if you want some news from inside Old Trafford. It's Nathan Salt. Nathan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Nathan, our first question, what's the best Manchester United or the most controversial Manchester United story you've broken?
Oh, when I broke an academy player making his debut and Man United sort of threatened to hunt me down. And I don't go very fast, so it wouldn't take long to hunt, really.
And what did they say when they found you? What did they say when they found you? How dare you have some information?
They just said they would hunt down me and all the people that I speak to. Wow. So probably you guys as well.
What, you said he was making his debut for the academy or for the first team?
No, for the first team.
Right, who was it? Who was it?
Harry Amas.
Right.
Who's now gone to Sheffield Wednesday.
What was the problem? And what was the problem with that?
They was leaking the team news, they said, and I was, helping Man United's opponents, which I don't think you really need to do too much when Man United finished 15th.
Yeah. Nathan, that's probably a strong place to start. I wondered how it registered with you to see 3 former Manchester United managers losing their job in a week. Do you think that tells us anything at all?
Oh, based on the people I chat to, it underlines the fact that Man United have terrible talent ID when it comes to managers, but... part of me also thought, does this mean Jose Mourinho could come back to England? I would be all for that.
Rangers we've been talking about just before the show started. Maybe a bit of Jose to Rangers. I'm not sure they could afford him, but it'd be a scene, wouldn't it? It'd be a scene. That's what they say.
That's the last thing Glasgow needs.
Jose Mourinho in Glasgow would be quite the scene, as they say.
Yeah, well, Brendan Rodgers leaves. Here's a little prediction for you. Rodgers leaves, Postecoglou comes back, and Mourinho takes over at Rangers. Now, I don't know
whether I want to see Jose against Brendan or Jose against Big Ange. Either would be box office.
I think it would be good for the league, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would be
Mourinho
brilliant.
in there.
Yeah.
I would think it would be dynamite.
Find the money for it. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, Nathan, but I've kind of had a little bit of sense that Solskjær's reign at Manchester United is being viewed very differently suddenly. I feel like there's been a little bit of positivity about him, given what's happened after him. What do you reckon?
There's always a lot of revisionism when it comes to, I'm not going to out the person, but I have a friend who every manager is the worst Manchester United manager he's ever seen. Yeah. But they get progressively worse, apparently. So Solskjær is basically the second Fergie now, after the latest debacle.
Would you say the same?
Well, if you had to rank them, to go to your point, Gordon, yes, there's an awful lot of revisionism about Solskjær, and it's nonsense. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a Man United manager. He was too weak. He was, this. I don't know. He's a mate of yours, and you're a fan of his. But you've got to remember, Solskjær was the coach of the Fred and McTominay central midfield, which was never going to take Manchester United anywhere near where they wanted to go. He was the one who didn't have the strength of mind to say no to the Ronaldo deal. Mm-hmm. So, and then Solskjær then did a dinner in Manchester, Q&A thing where he accused Manchester United players of being snowflakes. I mean, I wrote a column on the back of that saying if Ollie wanted to look at somewhere to find a snowflake, he just had to have a look in the mirror.
Yes.
But if we were to play a game now that we are, how many managers are we in post Fergie, Nathan? Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjær, Rangnick, Ten Hag, Amorim. Is that 7?
Yes.
So what?
Yes, 7.
So if you had to have one back,
that was quite impressive.
Who would it be? Who would it be if you had to have one back? Do you give someone another go? Who would it be?
Jose, just for great vibes.
No, but in terms of
factor.
No. But Moyes was the one who only got 8 months, and Man United, to be fair, now do admit privately, and they have done to me previously, that they failed Moyes in that they didn't give him. They underestimated.
He asked for other signings, didn't they?
They underestimated the fact that when Ferguson walked out the door, he essentially took everything with him. All the scouting, all the planning, all the recruitment, because it was all in his head. None of it was written down. There was no systems. There was no modernity about Manchester United. And they look back now and say, we failed David. We expected him to come in and perform a miracle. and then binned him after what was it, the March or the April?
Yeah.
So maybe Moyes was
I think Moyes was the one that was let down. What do you reckon, Nate?
I think when it comes to Man United, infrastructure fails managers so often. Like, yeah, Ian knows managers perform poorly or they sign poor players, but it's just a circus all the time. You know, they're sacking people, they're hiring people, they get rid of soup and they get rid of sandwiches, and I don't know. I can't keep up. But yeah, David Moyes, I agree with Ian. Yeah.
To be fair, they've got rid of the bomb squad, haven't they? They've got rid of the bomb squad at the end of the window, and I think they've done quite well to do that.
We will get into that.
Sorry,
one little observation I was going to make, though, when Mourinho was manager, I spent a little bit of time around United, and I remember he separated the first team from the youth team and put them all in porta cabins at Carrington. And I thought, that's not good. You weren't allowed to look at the first team players when you came into the ground. And I remember getting caught in a lift with them at the Lowry, and I think it was me, him, who were the players that were in there? It might have been Jesse Lingard. And his conversation with the players was so awkward. I thought, this guy's doomed. If he can't connect or find any kind of... They're having a conversation about luggage, Louis Vuitton luggage. And it was just painful. And I thought, this guy has not got these boys on side at all. He's in big bother. And the lifts in that particular hotel are a bit complicated, right? It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's lower ground. So the lift went up and down about 3 or 4 times. And there was no chat. It was one of the most awkward experiences. And I think you can read into those relationships pretty quickly.
When he was living in the Lowry, I did 2 things. I was sent to live in the Lowry for like 4 days to write a Saturday feature on what is Jose doing in the Lowry. And I was thinking, well, this is okay. 4 days in the Lowry is not going to hurt me. Yeah. But also, what am I actually kind of going to get apart from watching him walk from the lobby to the lift and go up to his room? It's not like that. But actually, the 4 days I spent there, I did get a little bit of Mourinho gold, which was that there's a hairdressers in the Lowry, like there is in quite a lot of very posh hotels. There's a hairdressers, and one night I was sitting in the bar, very desperately hoping that Jose might come down for a drink, and he did come down, and he came down to have his haircut, and they opened the hairdressers especially for him. And he went in, and one of his, not security, but one of his mates stood at the door while he had his haircut. And he obviously thought, it's 9 o'clock at night, it'll be fine. It was not fine. Within 5 minutes, there were 25 people with their noses pressed up against the glass in the Lowry watching Jose Mourinho have his haircut. And I was like, what a life.
Yeah.
Just get yourself an apartment, Jose, for God's sake.
What about United in this transfer window? How do you rate their performance?
Yeah, I had to grade it for Daily Mail, and I gave it a B+ because they scored 44 league goals last season. Nowhere near good enough. Rasmus Højlund been shipped off to Napoli. Joshua Zirkzee is struggling to get on as substitute. They needed, attackers. Mason Mount has started well, but hasn't really offered a goal threat since going to Man United. And Bumo, Cunha, they're guarantees of goals. Sesko, we'll wait and see, but 200 million into the attack, I think is a positive. And they got a new goalkeeper. So they didn't get a midfielder. That's, as Ian knows, that is a major problem for Man United. They're so easy to play through. And Bruno Fernandes, I still don't think operates well as a deeper midfielder. And I like him a lot. But they did address a lot of the areas, just not enough.
Nathan, I found it fascinating that Amorim said that there are days he wants to quit. By all means think that, have the imposter syndrome, but do you think he looks like a broken man, and how does that translate? How does that pass on to the players, do you think, that kind of rhetoric?
Yeah, maybe I'm in the minority. I just see him as incredibly emotional, and I think that's quite refreshing, but I can understand the argument that, does it give off weakness and, not the kind of run through the brick wall leadership that people want. But then if you contrast that to Ten Hag, where players felt he was way too cold, wasn't relatable. From what I gathered, there is a good unity day to day. I hear all the time about how training is great and the relationship between players and manager is great. And then it just gets to a Saturday and they don't look like a competent football team. But Monday to Friday, everyone, all these kind of players and people around them say, it's great. We love Amorim. We love everything about it. I don't mind it. I don't mind his emotion, but I can understand that other people see that as a sign of weakness.
What do you think, Mark? How does that play out with your competitors as well when you're a manager? Can you imagine that with even 5 years ago, a manager revealing his weakness like that? Does that reflect a change in culture as well, more than anything?
I think it is a change in culture. I think Amorim's doing a great job in a PR, because I think he's came in, realised his problem mid-season and thinking, what do I do here? Do I just keep quiet and end up like the other managers that have been dismissed in the past? Or do I come out fighting and go, you know what? A lot of it's in the club here, and I've got to try and change the mentality. And I go on the defensive by saying, you know, we have got weakness, I've got weaknesses. But at the end of the day, how long will fans accept this? 1 more year? Yeah. But he has moved in the right direction. You look at the players he's got out, the bomb squad. He's got the bomb squad out. The only thing I know Newcastle, as a Newcastle fan, we were looking at Sesko as well. What I got disappointed with, it's too early to say, is he going to be a hit or a miss? What really wound me up was that night at Grimsby, and he doesn't want to take a penalty at first.
Nah.
For me, that sends a message about his mentality that if I'm a striker and I've come in for that huge sum of money, I'm putting my hand up. If I miss, I miss. But I would expect my main striker to be one of these players that are hitting the first 5.
Also, £73.6 million, and you're 10th on the list to take penalties.
I don't know how you saw it, Nathan, but
what do you think?
For me, that sent messages.
I don't care if you're a free transfer or 130 million. If you're my centre forward, you have to be in the first 5 takers.
Yeah,
I've never understood this at any level, you know. And I've watched a lot of terrible shootouts in the 5th and 6th division.
Yeah,
if I see a centre back take one before a centre forward, that will never make sense to me.
No,
it's a real bugbear of mine. So I'm not going to repeat what you just said eloquently, Nathan. But what I will say is, can't we just have Harry Maguire taking all our penalties? Have you seen the way Harry Maguire takes penalties?
He does take a good penalty.
That guy is cold. Come on. Let's have 5 Harry Maguires for a shootout every time.
That guy's cold. I think you're saying is that guy has nothing going on between his ears.
You said that?
Yeah, I'm saying it. I'm saying
you
it.
said that, not me.
I mean, you know,
I think if I can just say quickly though about Harry Maguire, you know, Juventus and Como, Cesc Fabregas's Como, both made bids to sign Maguire this summer, and both of those were rejected. And I think it's really interesting how Maguire has built himself back up. You know, as Ian will know, he was absolutely destroyed in terms of his character and as a footballer, and he's built himself back up so incredibly well.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Maguire for that reason.
Yeah. So Nathan, where did Manchester United finish in the league this season?
8th.
Ian?
9th.
Mark?
Where did we put them last time? I can't remember.
15th.
We didn't have them in the top.
15th.
We didn't have Manchester United in the top 6. I recall that.
Yeah.
So it'd be around the mid-table, 8, 9, 10.
8 or 9. Yeah. I'm going to say 10th.